let's talk about the training. There's been a lot of stuff in the news lately,
Yeah.
about the teams. Some people are kind of giving it the old, it's so hard, and that's what's contributing to the mental, challenges. And
It's supposed to be hard.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind when I see a lot of that stuff is the criticism that came from this one guy towards the police about the way they conduct themselves. And they said, they invited him out and said, why don't you come through some of the training?
Yeah, empathy's a heck of a thing.
It is a heck of a thing. So,
and the problem with our training is unless you experience what we're training for, you can't fully appreciate our training, right? And there's no way you want to experience what we're training for, because that's terrifying. But it's also what you're built for, right? So, but I always if you change the process, you change the product. And that doesn't mean we don't need to take a hard look at things. We always need to take a hard look at things. But if you look at the number of men that have made it through Hell Week, by the ones that we've lost during Hell Week, the statistics are wildly for how we do things. And the men that we lost during training it's tragic, it's heartbreaking. I'm not marginalizing any of that. But the numbers wildly represent success, in a process, and therefore the product, right? And it's interesting to me that the harshest critics are the ones that have never done it, never experienced it, nor been where we do our work, right? I mean, it is so important that you understand the limits of your capacity before you're tested at that capacity in a no-fail environment. And that's what Hell Week and training is built to do, is to pre-familiarize the human performance machine, body, brain, mind, soul, with that this and no further moment before you get to that this and no further moment.
Do you think these young kids, though, do they really, really understand what they're signing up to?
I don't think so. I don't think I did.
Did you?
I don't think I did, right? I mean, I think maybe the difference between me and some of the young folks today is I knew I didn't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, this is not a moral indictment. This is just an observation. When you play these hyper-immersive, hyper-authentic first-person shooters, you can benignly convince yourself that you're experienced. And oh, by the way, if you put someone under a functional MRI, right, and you have them play this game, and you have someone wear a wearable EEG on the field, like you won't be able to, you'd be hard-pressed to discern which one was doing it for real and which one was playing the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say that, I think some of the young folks think they've done it before, there's a physiological element to that. Like from the brain's perspective, they have done it before, right? And so again, it's that double-edged sword of understanding kind of neuroscience in the brain, which I'm not representing that I do, by the way. All the leaders like Clint, neuroscience off, right? So, but again, I don't think it's an arrogance. I don't think it's a
and I'm trying to look at this from the standpoint of, I want to look at it from the other side, because I know what my opinion is.
Well, we have to have that adversary mindset.
Like, and so, if I want to be a cynic about it, mm-hmm. my mind is going to go all the way to the other side. And if I'm going to see it like these people who are critical, I'm looking at it going, okay, well then, you know what? The reality is our government is just using these kids as pawns mm-hmm. for a much greater, mission out there that really doesn't benefit them. Well, and then the guy on my other shoulder says, no, it doesn't benefit them, but it benefits a greater cause. And to quote our old friend Woody Williams, the mm-hmm. cause is greater than I, mm-hmm. which we need more of, in my opinion. So, I try to look at it from both sides, but I really do. I have a hard time, with these people who are so critical of the man in the arena.
Yeah. Yeah. And I I'm content to not have harmony with everybody. I think that friction produces refined thinking, right? So having this homogenous opinion, I don't think it benefits anything in the long run. So I'm okay with just not agreeing with me.
Too much harmony creates a lot of complacency.
Yeah. I mean, like, and we see that in the community. In the community, when they're tweaking the training and stuff like that to produce, they're trying to then you got a bunch of 6 foot tall, 190-pound perfect athletes that can't carry a 60 up a side of a mountain. But that friction inside the platoon produces a better patrol route, right? You have a bunch of triathletes picking the patrol route. That's when you have nothing dragging you out of that natural preference, right?
Right.
You got to have that one big guy's like, I'm not carrying that up that, right? And so that friction of opposing
I don't want to go that way because y'all are going to expect me to do all the carrying.
See those squiggly things? That's called a contour line. You just told me to hump a 60 up in a 50 count mortar base plate up. I'm not doing that, right? But that tension produces. I mean, think about this: if you had an NFL team that was made of, DK Metcalf is probably one of the most spectacular athletes that's ever lived on the planet. Mm-hmm. But if you had a team of 11 DK Metcalfs on offense, 11 DK Metcalfs on defense, they'd never win.
Right.
They'd never win.
No.
Because it takes that 330-pound guy. So that diversity produces a refined decision, right? And I think so it's okay.
And that diversity goes way beyond the physical side of it.
Yeah.
Diversity is a good thing.
So the pressure being placed on the SEAL community to change training, if it produces a refining of the training and it reaffirms why we do things the way we do, then at the end of the day, it was good. We recommitted to principles that we believe to be unflinching and proven. And maybe we only did that because people are telling us we're wrong. We got to change, right? But I don't envy leadership right now. Leadership's got some challenges that's having to navigate, right?
There's also this idea of steroids happening, which, given what's happened in the baseball world, the football world, it's kind of easy to understand, how, because obviously the similarities in there's a lot of similarities between military and
we're just tactical athletes.
Sports.
We're tactical professional athletes,
right? And so when you look at it that way, and that's a really good way to put it. But it's easy to see how people, hey, I want to keep performing. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure this guy to my left and to my right are not leaving me behind because I'm just not able to perform.
Yeah.
So they default to things that will help them heal faster. What was that ever even out there when you were there?
Well, see, you and I grew up in the 80s when roids were the big deal.
Yeah.
Tony Mandarich, all these other things, right? And so, those things those things are prevalent. Those things are out there. I would tell you, I grew up in an era, and I maintain this, that anything you use to get better that you don't have when you're doing a thing is ultimately a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. So if you use it to get there, but you can't take it with you when you're doing a thing, you're not helping yourself, right? And the human machine is so tuned together that there's a yang to every yin, right? And yin. But my deal is like, man, if it is like when I used to do powerlifting, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone would wear these like bench press shirts,
right?
And I never wanted to wear a bench press shirt because my deal is like, that's not how strong you are. That's how strong you are with a shirt on. But that's not how strong you are. Like if you're on the farm, and the real concern I have, and this is me, I'm not judging. This is me. If you develop a belief that you can lift this because you did while you're wearing that bench press shirt, then all of a sudden you go to try to lift it because you did, but you don't have the bench press shirt. Mm-hmm. And you've just made a decision that could cost you and those depending on you greatly.
Yes.
And so for me, like subsidizing yourself, creating a perception of capability, then making decisions based on that perception, but that perception is inaccurate because you had this while you did that. I was like, when I lift, man, there's no wraps, there's no weight belts, because my deal is like, if you need a weight belt to lift it, don't lift it. I mean, you're augmenting, right? And that's for me is always kind of been if you can't do it, no matter how hard you try, then maybe you should be doing something else. And I used to tell guys this during Hell Week, like, hey man, you're not a quitter. You just didn't finish. This is hard, by the way. The quitter is the guy who said he was going to, but he never even swore in. And guys were thinking about quitting, man. I just make them quit. And I was like, listen, there's something you would rather die than quit at. And I want you doing that. Like, I want you doing the thing that you'd rather die than quit at. That's what the nation needs you doing. So let's go find out.
So you were an instructor.
No. This is
Okay.
what, like when I was going through Buzz, I was my own class.
Okay.
Guys, sir, I'm thinking about quitting. I'm like, quit. He quit. I heard him. He said he quit. I'm like, no. I was like, hey, listen, the line between thinking about quitting and quitting is really thin. And once it enters your consciousness, it becomes potential, right?
Yeah.
And I love you too much to hate you one day.